want the ice cream. How's that?
Whipping right there. Okay. Okay. To amend a death certificate so it reflects the court's legal determination of homicide instead of an accident. Right now, California law does not provide a path for next of kin to amend the manner of death on a death certificate, even after a court has ruled that the death was a homicide. That means a family can go through the full legal process, see a conviction, and still be left with an official record that says their loved one's death was an accident. The term accident is infuriating and completely dismissive of criminality and negligence that led to a person's death. That is the problem that this bill fixes. SB 1071 provides a legal mechanism to amend the manner of death on a death certificate after a court judgment, ensuring it is not classified as an accident where there is a legal finding of homicide. This happens more often than people realize. When someone is killed by an impaired driver, meaning a person under the influence of alcohol, drugs, medication, or distracted by their cell phone or fatigue, the death is often classified as an accident at the time of the autopsy, since the full facts are not yet known. But later, after court reviews the evidence, the death can be legally determined to be a homicide. Even then, the death certificate stays the same. SB 1071 fixes that disconnect, and it allows the next of kin to request that death certificate to reflect the court's final determination. It's important to be clear about what this bill does and does not do. It does not change the facts of a case. It does not revisit a decision. It simply ensures that the official record reflects what has already been determined through the legal process. This issue also extends beyond individual families. Death certificate data plays a critical role in our state. It informs public health research, guides criminal justice policy, and shapes decisions at every level of government. When the data is inaccurate, it affects how we understand serious issues like impaired driving. It impacts how we allocate resources and how we develop solutions. When we get the data right, we are better equipped to respond, to prevent, and ultimately to save lives. And again, I want to be very clear. SB 1071 does not change a medical examiner's or coroner's findings. It does not alter the autopsy reports or any underlying medical record. Those findings remain exactly as originally determined. This bill only allows the official legal document, the death certificate, to reflect the final court determination. This legislation would be the first of its kind in the nation. California has the opportunity to lead by setting a standard that prioritizes truth, accuracy, accountability, and justice in our public records. At the end of the day, this is about getting it right. It's about honoring victims. It's about supporting families. It's about justice in court and truth on record. Thank you. I'm going to deliver the remarks in Spanish to inform our Spanish-speaking populations. Buenos días y gracias por estar aquí esta mañana. El proyecto de ley SB 1071 hace algo sencillo. Permite que las familias cambien un certificado de defunción para que diga homicidio en lugar de accidente, cuando la Corte lo haga decidido. Ahora mismo, la ley en California no permite que las familias cambien la causa de muerte en el certificado, aunque la Corte decida que fue homicidio. Eso significa que una familia puede pasar por todo el proceso legal, ver que alguien es culpable y aún así el documento oficial dice que fue un accidente. La palabra accidente es muy frustrante y no reconoce el crimen o la negligencia que causó la muerte. Este es el problema que este proyecto de ley quiere corregir. La SB 1071 crea un proceso legal para cambiar el certificado de defunción reflejado la determinación legal en el corte o tribunal, para que no diga accidente, cuando legalmente fue un homicidio. Esto pasa más seguido de lo que la gente piensa. Cuando alguien muere por culpa de un conductor bajo la influencia como alcohol, drogas, medicina o por estar distraído con el celular o cansado, muchas veces el principio se clasifica la muerte como accidente, pero todavía no se reconocen todos los detalles. Pero después, cuando la corte revisa la evidencia, puede decidir que fue un homicidio. Aún así, el certificado de defunción no cambia. La SB 1071 corrige ese problema, permite que la familia pida que el certificado refleje la decisión final de la corte o tribunal. Es importante aclarar lo que está en la ley hace y lo que no hace. No cambia los hechos del caso, no vuelve a decidir el caso, solo asegura que el documento oficial refleje la determinación legal de la corte. Este problema también afecta más allá de las familias. Los datos del certificado de defunción son muy importantes. Se usan para estudios de salud, decisiones del sistema de justicia y políticas de gobierno. Cuando esa información es incorrecta, afecta cómo entendemos problemas graves como manejar bajo la influencia. También afecta cómo se usan los recursos y cómo se crean soluciones. Cuando los datos son correctos, podemos responder mejor, prevenir más y salvar vidas. Y otra vez, quiero aclarar, la SB 1071 no cambia la determina el médico forense o el forense. No cambia el reporte de autopsia ni registros médicos. Todo eso se queda igual. Este proyecto de ley solo permite que el certificado de defunción refleje la decisión final de la Corte. Esta sería la primera ley de este tipo en el país. California tiene la oportunidad de liderar con un estándar de que valora la verdad, la responsabilidad y la justicia en los registros públicos. Al final del día, eso se trata de hacer lo correcto. Se trata de honrar a las víctimas, apoyar a nuestras familias y asegurar justicia en la corte y la verdad en los registros. Muchas gracias. Now I have the absolute honor to introduce a very good friend of mine and colleague, Senator Bob Archuleta, who's actually been a great advocate for public safety in the Senate here in California.
Thank you, Senator Ochoa, Bogh, and thank you everyone for being here bright and early this morning here at the steps of the Capitol in California. And we're sending a message to everyone today that drunk driving is a crime. Drunk driving is something that we have to address every single day. It's an epidemic, and you will be hearing bills upon bills. But this bipartisan bill, I'm so very proud to be a co-author on Senate Bill 1071 with Senator Ochoa, Bogh. And again, I'd like to thank you all for being here. Once again, I'm Senator Bob Archuleta. I represent the 30th Senate District, which entails Los Angeles and Orange County. I'm proud to stand here today with Senator Ochoa, Bogh, and all of you to support Senate Bill 1071, which would allow victims, next of kin, to request an amendment to a loved one's death certificate and ensure that it reflects the legal findings of the manner of death. When a victim is killed by a drunk driver or impaired driver, the medical examiner or coroner classifies the manner of death as an accident. We all know that's not an accident. We know it's a homicide, it's tragedy, and this bill is going to address that. So, yes, it's unacceptable. And I want to share this with you. My granddaughter, my own granddaughter, Samantha, 30 years old, with her master's just received, was killed tragically by a drunk driver on Christmas Eve a couple years ago. So the tragedy will never be erased, our family will never be made whole, and the weight and to carry that tragedy with us goes on and on. But with all the victims that are here and those throughout California, we in California, with this bipartisan bill, are fighting for you. The idea of Samantha's death and my own family is regarded as just an accident on her death certificate. Well, it wasn't. Not in my eyes, not my family. and not in the families that are here today. It's just like an injustice to everyone who's lost a loved one to a drunk driver. Let's set the record straight. So that's why I'm proud to stand with my colleagues, Senator Ochoa, Bogh, and to be a co-author on this bill, and to stand with my colleagues here in the Senate. And this is truly a bipartisan bill. Let's support it. Let's stand with the victims. Let's make this thing right. Again, I'm Senator Bob Archuleta. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'd now like to introduce our next speaker, Ms. Candace Leitner, co-founder of Not an Accident campaign and a lifelong advocate for victims and families. Candace?
Is Matt speaking next after me? Where is he? Matt, come up here. Come up. You stand with me. My name is Candace Leitner, founder and president of We Save Lives and founder of Mothers Against Drunk Driving. I stand here on behalf of victims and survivors of impaired driving crashes across my home state of California, and a mother whose own daughter, Carrie, was killed. Carrie was walking to a Catholic school carnival on May 3rd, 1980, when she was hit from behind, thrown 125 feet, and left in the road to die. In my grief, I tried to donate her organs so another life might be saved, but her body was so badly damaged that nothing was salvageable. I later learned the man who killed her was out on bail from another hit-and-run drunk driving crash the night before and had 3 prior drunk driving convictions in 4 years, yet still had a valid California driver's license. He was convicted of vehicular manslaughter with gross negligence, a violent crime, yet her death certificate still lists her manner of death as accident, and that is wrong. For more than 4 decades, my daughter's death has been used to teach this country that drunk driving is a violent crime. Laws changed, public awareness changed, and more than 400,000 lives have been saved. Generations of young people grew up hearing her story and being told this was not an accident, yet her own death certificate still says it was. First, I want to thank the authors and champions of SB 1071, especially both senators here today, and 3 senators here today, and every legislator, advocate, and organization who has stood with us. Your support tells victims' families, we see you, we believe you, your truth matters. When someone is killed by impaired driving, drug poisoning, or reckless behavior, it is not an accident. It is a preventable act that deserves truth, accuracy, recognition, and clarity. This is the heart of SB 1071. For too long, deaths caused by drunk, drugged, or reckless drivers or by drug poisonings have been recorded on death certificates as accidents, even after a court has found that that person is criminally responsible. That one word, accident, erases responsibility. It means a crime. It turns a crime into a mishap. It adds insult to unimaginable injury. SB 1071 changes that. It creates a clear post-conviction process so that when the justice system has determined a death is a homicide, the death certificate can be updated to reflect the legal truth. It does not change medical findings or interfere with doctors or coroners. It simply allows the final official record of a life and a death to match what the court has already decided. This bill is part of a broader movement. We Save Lives sponsors the Not an Accident campaign, a national alliance dedicated to reforming how coroners, medical examiners, and public agencies classify preventable deaths. We are proud to partner with Stop Drug Homicide, whose mission is to ensure drug-induced deaths are recognized as homicides and to advance accountability, education, and justice for victims and families. Together, we challenge the language that hides responsibility. We educate the public, the media, and policymakers that these tragedies are not accidents. They are the result of criminal and preventable choices made with full awareness of the risk and a disregard for human life. They are not accidents. In legal and moral terms, they are homicides. One human being killed by another. Victims and survivors deserve honesty, not euphemisms. Families deserve records that reflect what really happened, not labels that minimize or excuse criminal conduct. To the authors and supporters of SB 1071, thank you for standing with us, for standing with the Not an Accident campaign, We Save Lives and Stop Drug Homicide, and most of all, for standing with every family whose loved one was not lost in an accident, but killed by someone who chose to break the law. We are urging the legislature to pass SB 1071 and send a clear message. These deaths matter, the truth matters, and our records and our laws must finally reflect both. Thank you. I think you're next.
Thank you, Candace, Ms. Leitner, for those powerful words and your continued leadership. Next, I'd like to introduce Mr. Matt Capaludo, co-founder of the Not an Accident campaign and sponsor of SB 1071. Matt?
Good morning. Here's the reality. People don't go to prison for accidents. They go to prison for crimes. And if someone has been held accountable for taking a life, that's an accident. Pardon me, that's not an accident. It's a homicide. My name is Matt Capaludo. I'm here today as a father and co-founder of the Not an Accident campaign. My daughter, Alexandra, was killed by a counterfeit prescription pill made with a lethal dose of fentanyl. We were told it was an accident, but there was nothing accidental about what happened to her. Someone chose to manufacture that pill, someone chose to sell it, and both chose to profit at the expense of my daughter's life. That's not an accident. That's a homicide, and we need to start saying it. And Alexandra is far from alone. There are families across California living with this same reality, but the official record tells a different story, one that removes responsibility and minimizes what really happened. So I want to say this directly. To every family who has been told their loved one's death was just an accident, when you know it wasn't, you are right to question it. You are right to demand the truth. And to the parents and families here today, I am so sorry for why you are here. No parent should ever have to stand where we are standing. But your presence matters, your voices matter, and your courage to stand up through unimaginable heartache is what drives change. This bill is for your children, and it's because of families like yours that we are here today. SB 1071 is about truth. It ensures that when a court of law determines a death was caused by criminal actions, the death certificate reflects that reality. It aligns the official record with what actually happened. Now, there are families who feel this bill doesn't go far enough, and they're not wrong. Too many cases never go properly investigated. Too many never lead to accountability. But that's a problem we still have to fix. But SB 1071 is a step forward. It sets a clear standard. When responsibility is proven, the truth cannot be ignored. Because of what gets recorded becomes what gets counted. And what gets counted drives policy, action, and ultimately saves lives. Right now, we are undercounting these deaths. We are misclassifying them. And in doing so, we are failing families and failing to fully confront this crisis. Today, the Senate Health Committee has an opportunity to begin correcting that. California has a chance to lead by saying we will not hide from the truth and we will not minimize criminally caused deaths. And when California leads, other states will follow. I also want to thank those who made this bill possible. Senator Ochoa Bogh, thank you for your leadership. Riverside County Chief Deputy District Attorney Ivy Fitzpatrick, thank you for your work in shaping this effort. Candace Leitner, thank you for your decades of advocacy and continued leadership. And to our Not an Accident campaign team, some of which couldn't be here because they fell to illness, Larry Hatfield, Dr. Fillmore Smiley, Carol Schweigert, Kelly Montalvo, thank you for making this moment possible. This is how change happens, when people refuse to accept what's wrong and decide to fix it. My daughter's name is Alexandra. Her death was not an accident, and no family should ever have to fight for the truth.
Thank you, Matt, for your advocacy and sharing your voice. I'd like to introduce a very special next speaker, Ms. Ivy Fitzpatrick, Chief Deputy District Attorney with the Riverside County District Attorney's Office, who has been a strong advocate on this issue and who actually brought the idea forward to our office.
Good morning. I'm Ivy Fitzpatrick. As the Senator mentioned, I'm a Chief Deputy District Attorney in Riverside County. Our office is very, very proud to co-sponsor this legislation. I want to thank the Senator first and foremost for authoring this bill and for the co-authors and partners that we have working through the legislature. As prosecutors sworn to uphold the law, we understand that justice isn't simply paperwork. It's more than paperwork. It's the truth that we seek and we honor for every single victim and every family. SB 1071 ensures that California's official death records are going to reflect that truth. Here's what the bill does. It recognizes that a court's legal determinations, like a conviction of homicide, that is reflected in the accurately reflected in the court's state's official records, the death certificate. It provides victims' families like Matt and Candace, with truthful, dignified accounts of their loved one's life and death. And it improves public health data, policy decision-making by ensuring we have reliable data, truthful, reliable data on some of our state's most pressing issues, including drug-induced homicides, including vehicular homicides. And the problem is very clear in those cases, in vehicular homicides and drug-induced homicides. Early in an investigation, a coroner might not have all the facts. They don't have all the facts, and they may classify the death as an accident. But after a full investigation, after a trial, a plea, appellate review, a court's going to lawfully determine that the manner of death is a homicide. And when that happens, the official state record, the death certificate, should honor that legal judgment, should honor the legal determination of homicide. And SB 1071 creates a very straightforward, clear path to make sure that we can correct those manners of death on the death certificate so that it aligns with a court legal determination. SB 1071, very simply, makes death certificates tell the truth. It's because justice deserves the truth and an accurate record. In closing, again, I would like to thank the Senator. She's been a wonderful leader in this area and in other areas. And our co-sponsors, Not an Accident and Stop Drug Homicide and We Save Lives. And they identified a big gap in the law, and I appreciate them for that. And I urge our legislators to pass 1071. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ivy, for your remarks. Next, I'd like to introduce another great and admirable woman and a fierce advocate for victims of horrible, horrific crimes. Senator Shannon Grove is an incredible advocate. I am proud to have her here with us today and a co-author as well for this particular bill. Honored to have you here, ma'am.
Thank you, Senator Ochoa Bogh, and I'd like to first start off by thanking the families for having the courage and the strength and the perseverance to be here. I look at the pictures behind me that these families are holding, and they represent not only their families and the children that have been lost because of these issues that we're talking about today, but they represent many California families that are going through this same process. I'm proud to stand with Senator Ochoa Bogh as a co-author of Senate Bill 1071, the Not an Accident bill. The fentanyl crisis continues to devastate families across our nation. Fentanyl is a leading cause of death in young people and Americans. This poison has ravaged communities across our state, including my own, and has claimed too many lives. My colleagues and I have fought and introduced numerous pieces of legislation over the years to address this crisis. For instance, SB 237 sought to strengthen penalties for selling, transporting, or importing fentanyl. SB 325 aimed to be cracked down on rainbow fentanyl, like little candies that kids are attracted to. And they'd purposely sell this type of fentanyl to children. However, both of those bills were killed in the Senate Public Safety Committee. I'm eternally grateful for my very own district attorney on the front lines and all district attorneys, but specifically Fresno District Attorney Lisa Smitkamp. Her office recently prosecuted Cassidy Marie Gonzalez and secured a conviction for second-degree murder for selling fentanyl pills laced that killed Jane Dreth. A jury found Gonzalez knew of the danger, and she still stole the drug anyways. This was Fresno County's first fentanyl-related homicide conviction of its kind, and it will not be their last. And this death was not an accident. It was murder. SB 1071 will ensure that when someone is murdered with this poison, that their death certificate reflects the truth. Families, like the one standing behind me, deserve the truth. They deserve justice, and they deserve peace. Accurate death certificates mean better data for public health and law enforcement. How do you track fentanyl deaths and fentanyl murders if you're not recording it in a public database? Most importantly, this bill will help deliver dignity, justice to the grieving families who have lost loved ones for this preventable poison. The deaths are not accidents. These are tragedies caused by people who choose to sell and break the law and provide illegal drugs or accidents that take place in vehicular manslaughter for DUIs. This bill will rectify a bad situation that plagues California. I want to thank my co-author, Senator Ochoa Bogh, for introducing this important measure. She is a champion. I don't know where she went. She is a champion for protecting families. She's an incredible colleague to have on our side, and I'm just excited to be able to be a part of this bill, for her including me. And let's get SB 1071 through committee, through the Senate, over to the Assembly, and to the governor's desk for signature.
Thank you, Senator Grove. Next, I'd like to welcome another good friend and colleague of ours and another co-author of the bill, Senator Roger Niello. Senator Niello?
Senator Ochoa Bogh and I are seatmates, so we've become very close friends. This bill certainly will help to ensure statistical accuracy, but that's not the real importance of this bill. It's not just statistics, it's human. Losing a loved one has to be ultimately the greatest pain in and of itself. And to compound that, by the permanent record saying that a loved one who was killed by the illegal action of another person is permanently recorded as an accident, that is an injustice. And we see that really illustrated by all of these people behind us with these signs that have experienced this ultimate tragedy. And this bill will fix that record so that it may not cure their tragedy, their pain, but it will at least reflect what indeed did happen. As Senator Ochoa Bogh said, this is about recognizing families and honoring victims, and I'm proud to be a co-author.
Thank you, Senator Niello. Next, I would like to introduce our newest member to our Senate caucus, Senator Strickland, that is here, another good friend and an advocate for public safety as well.
Thank you. Let me open with just truth and data is essential because data drives policy. And so good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here. It's great to be here. My name's Tony Strickland. I represent the 36th Senate District, which is coastal Orange County and parts of LA. I'm proud to stand here with Senator Ochoa Bogh, who's been a champion on this issue, and I'm honored to be a co-author of Senate Bill 1071. This measure is about something very simple, but very important: truth, accuracy, and justice for victims and their families. Right now, when someone's killed, such as in cases like drunk driving or impaired driving, the manner of death and death certificate is often labeled an accident. These classifications made early based on limited information available to medical examiner or coroners at the time. But we know the full story doesn't always come out until later. After thorough investigation, after evidence is presented, and after a court of law weighs in the facts, a judge and jury may determine that the death was not an accident at all, but a homicide. And yet, even after that legal determination, the death certificate remains unchanged. It denies families the ability to have official record reflect what happened to their loved ones. It also impacts the accuracy of public health data, which policymakers and researchers rely on for policy that we do here in this Capitol. SB 1071 is a reasonable fix, which is why I'm a proud co-author. Ultimately, SB 1071 is about aligning our records with reality. It's about giving families the dignity of the truth. And it's about ensuring our public data accurately reflects the seriousness of all these crimes. I stand here today with these families who deserve to be heard, because when a life is taken unlawfully, it should be recorded as such. Thank you so much for having me here today. And again, I would like to end with, I'm very honored to be a co-author and working with Senator Ochoa Bogh, who's a champion on this issue.
Thank you, Senator Strickland. And thank you to all our speakers for sharing your perspectives and your voices today. I want to thank the senators that were here today, Senator Niello, Senator Archuleta, Senator Bogh that is here, Senator Strickland, and Senator Jones, who had to leave. We have committees starting at probably starting now or starting pretty soon. Thank you to our sponsors of the bill for traveling here today and for the strong advocacy on this issue. I want to also thank my Riverside County Sheriff, Sheriff Chad Bianco, who's here. Would you like to share some words? Give you an opportunity really quick.
Sure. Good morning, Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco, and I'm also the elected coroner of Riverside County. I am very blessed and honored to have been at this fight against fentanyl from the very beginning because of Matt. And because Matt and his wife met me in my office and spoke of their daughter Alex. Alex's picture is still on my screensaver on my desk at work. And it's a reminder that this issue that we have in the entire country with fentanyl deaths, and our fight with this horrific drug is not even near over. And this bill is just a small fix in the path to total victory over that. We changing our mindset of what we believe is what we are supposed to do as we evolve. This is a common sense, completely common sense bill that changes a document, a life and death document. These families, the first thing they had from their children was a birth certificate. The last thing they have is a death certificate, and we can at least do the right thing in making sure that that death certificate is accurate, correct, and is a reflection of their life. I appreciate so much the fight from our senators and our assembly members in this building behind us as they fight to make these common sense changes happen. I wish that it wasn't so hard in their battle to make this happen, but I certainly appreciate everything they do for us, and I am committed to making sure that all of these victims have a voice and will not be silenced in their goals of making sure that justice is taken care of for their victims, their family members, and their loved ones. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you. Thank you, Sheriff Bianco. I'm truly grateful for the time and heartfelt contributions. Your willingness to participate and share your experiences they truly make a real difference. And I deeply appreciate your presence here today. This bill is about getting it right. It's about honoring victims, supporting families, and ensuring that our records reflect the truth. At this time, I'm happy to take any questions if we have any questions. Guess we're very thorough in our statements. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you to our wonderful families here today, and for my amazing and wonderful colleagues and co-authors.